on this thing?
You're fine, my friend.
Whether we're happy.
Pretty much, yes.
All right.
Wait and see if they show up.
Why do you want me to get started? Let's get started.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Whoa. You remember what that sounds like, Rick?
Yeah, I got a rowdy crowd here today. You're gonna be using that a lot by the looks of it with Mackenzie here.
I know. Might have to have them filled in because our delegation isn't here. Call everybody to order, and we don't have our delegation yet, but we'll just continue on, and when they come, we'll fill them in and use them at that point. Disclosure any pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Anybody got any conflict?
I believe I'll have one, I believe.
You know the number?
I can write it, 10C, maybe, is that what it is?
Yes.
10C?
Is it 10C?
Yes, yes, I think you're right. If that's what you want. There, 10C?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thanks, Ron.
Okay.
Minutes of the previous meeting, August 5th. Council minutes. Year's remissions. I caught one earlier, but we got that carried. Picked up. Moved by Councillor Faulkner, sent by Deputy Mayor Fisk, the minutes of the August 5th, 2014 council meeting be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Additional items, disclosed other business. Ron has one. I have a couple. Okay, anybody else? Terry? All right, well, we'll figure
I
it out.
only have one if Terry doesn't mention.
All right, well, that's, it might be linked, is it? Okay.
In your eyes,
Yeah.
conservatives.
Okay, you're gonna do that. All right.
Mayor Briggs? Could I just go over the schedule of today?
Yep.
Briefly?
Mhm.
Just a word about schedule, Mr. Mayor, members of council, and those present. It's a little unusual. We have quarter revision and 3 public meetings today, so that's why we're starting without a closed session. So we'll start at 3 o'clock, and at 5 o'clock, depending on where we are in the agenda, we'll move into a public meeting for the housekeeping zoning amendment. Shortly after that, we'll go into the 2 quarter revision hearings. The quarter revision chair, as appointed by council, is Councillor Elliott. The first one will be for Drain 37, which is within our municipality, and that will be heard by Chair Elliott, the mayor, and Councillor Faulkner. So the other members of council would be able to vacate their chair during that conversation. And then we'll move into Drain 115, which is shared with North Perth. And at that time, mayor would vacate, and Mr. Schneider from North Perth would be joining quarter revision. And then after that, there's at 6:30 there are 2 more public meetings followed by the bylaws. So council should leave itself enough time for a break in order to have a short light meal, and that'll be 30 minutes to 45 minutes. There is a closed session scheduled for information pertaining to the disposition of lands in Clifford and Palmerston. That matter is not critical, so if there is a shortage of time, my recommendation to you would be to not hold the closed session and leave that for another meeting. So just wanted to make note of that schedule so we can attempt to keep that moving.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Full plate today. Well thought. Okay. And our delegation is still isn't here, so we'll pass that public question period. Anybody got a public question? Council, I should say County Councillor Mark McKenzie. 10 minutes.
15 seconds. Lots of time.
Now, as you know, Mark, on these, this is good, because we haven't had a lot, but because you're not a delegation per se, there won't be a lot of discussion on it, because we'll probably take it back under, I don't know what what you're gonna ask, but if we can't answer it, we'll take it back and have staff look at it or whatever. Normally a delegation, we kind of know ahead of time what the question is, so sometimes we get a little preempt, but this is good.
Perfect.
All right.
First of all, I want to
And
thank...
if you could just make sure you're talking to the mic.
Talking to the mic.
Yeah.
Have you ever been here before, Mark McKenzie? I'll sit down. Anyway, thanks, council, for the opportunity for this public section of your agenda. And I'm here today as a resident to speak to a bylaw, trespassing bylaw concerning bait fishing.
Yep.
Okay, some time ago, years ago, the council of the day implemented a bylaw for trespassing concerning the bait fishermen. Thousands of people in this municipality were behind this, not only here but outside. So, okay, you've got your bylaw in place. It was well-researched. I have a copy of it here. I don't know if you guys have read it, but it followed the Trespass to Property Act. It followed the Municipal Act. It followed the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Act. And since it's been enforced, the public has backed off reporting to you. It's because it's not being enforced, and I understand it can't be. That's the wording I'm hearing. I've spoke to a solicitor on it. I've read the bylaw. I've even researched the where it came from. There are over 40-some bylaws in this province with bait fish, or not bait, with Trespass to Property Act for that purpose, and it's working. I don't know why it's not working here. We have violations constantly. Your signs are posted to that effect. I have all kinds of documents with these people trespassing for that purpose. I'm not going to debate the bylaw. My questions are, if it's not working, why? And if your solicitor doesn't think it's going to work or it isn't working, I'm asking council to review it and make sure it works for the public. I can't see why it doesn't. It follows everything that's in place. It's a Trespass Act. Nothing to do with how they're bait fishing. It's where they're doing it. And it's on our property, and that was passed years ago. I had lots of support for that from the public and the council of the day and the province. AMO even approved this. So I'm asking you today to please review that bylaw and public awareness again. Reissue a public awareness notice if you have to. Why isn't it working? Why can't this bylaw work? It's working in other municipalities, and they're trespassing today and violating your bylaw. Your signs are up. Why can't we enforce it?
I was just gonna say, Mark, I was on when we done, I think, Hound, you were also, and I think the gentleman who was our legal advice, we've changed since. I think if we talk to our new guy, Mark, I think we would have a different opinion on what we have there. Did you agree? You know what I'm talking about.
I don't know who it is or what the reason is.
Yeah, but you know who we had when
Yes.
you brought this forward.
Oh, for sure.
Well, he is no longer with us.
Right.
And you know what the situations. I think with the new gentleman we have, I think you would probably, or we would be able to go forward with this stuff, I think, Mark.
I'm not sure it's not working now. And
Yeah, I agree with some of your stuff, Mark, and you and I think when we first started this council, we went out and got actually some resolutions sent out, remember, in 2010, I think, about the bylaw.
Yes.
The only thing I can remember is it's a little bit, lots of times we don't have the manpower to get out there when they're there, but, and if you're saying we're not getting many calls anymore, because, we only react to calls, but maybe it is a case that people don't realize that we would enforce it if we could. But I know, and I don't know, Mike, if you can remember, I asked you about signs. Some of our signs are getting kind of old. We're replacing some of the signs. We can look into this, and I wouldn't mind staff having a look and see where we are as far as enforcement. I don't know at this point. I just thought we weren't getting anybody calling, but.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. I have a couple things. First of all, where are they doing this? Because I have not seen these guys back in my area. I used to see them on Side Road 3 and then down through my property and whatnot. And I have not seen them lately, but maybe it's because I haven't been around when they're doing it. Do we know who is doing it? And second of all, the municipalities where the bylaw is working, why is it working? Is more I think the answer that we have to get, because if it's working there, then perhaps we can copy that. Just comments, and the question is, do we know who is doing the bait fishing?
most of the time, yes.
Okay.
Well, they have a license, right?
That
They have a
provincial
license to bait fish.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing the point or taking their livelihood away from them.
No.
I'd like to, but I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're violating a bylaw you have for trespassing for that purpose, and it's legal, it's passed, and I don't know why we don't enforce it. The public has quit calling you because of lack of confidence. They get the answer, and I have too, that we can't enforce it. So, and there's thousands of people out there that supported this years ago. It's still going on. They're trespassing on our property for that purpose.
Yep.
If this council does not want that to happen, then it should rescind the bylaw. But you got your signs up, and
No, our
it's
signs
there,
are up. I think
and
we-
why can't it be enforced?
And I haven't, like, just recently, I haven't heard much from the public on this. I mean, it was a little bit more in 2010, 11, when we were trying to enforce it. And I think at one time, we even looked at the fact that maybe we could buy the license, but there was an economic value we couldn't afford, right? Because the licenses, I think, are only $250 or something like that.
$290 something.
$290, but they sell them to the next bidder. I think, did we not research that, Mark?
We did
Yeah.
at the time, but I'm not,
I don't, but I actually had from one of the residents that does a lot of fishing on the stream, says he hasn't seen many of them this year at all. And he doesn't think that economic-wise, that maybe it's a time to relook at that. Because he goes out and does a lot of stream fishing, chap from Palmerston, and I was talking to him the other day about this, and he said maybe it's time to revisit to see whether they would give up the license for a reasonable amount. Because we control the license, and we would basically, then nobody could do it.
I don't think they'll allow that. I've asked about that. The ministry won't give a municipality a license for that purpose, but private property is a different issue.
Yeah,
They're trespassing on municipal property.
I know.
And violating the bylaw.
you have to get to the private property, right?
And I know how council works. You guys have the means to make this work. Or
Well-
at least look into it to see what we have to do to make it work.
Well, if it's
And that's what I'm asking.
If it's the pleasure of the council, we'll have staff look into it and come back with where we're at, what's been going on the last year.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
And then we'll get the report back.
Thank
I'll
you.
let you know, I'll give you a copy of it.
Thank you, yeah.
Okay?
Thanks, Mark.
Oh, and our delegation is here. Excellent. We just jumped the gun on you a little bit. We were,
Well, look who's here.
uh-oh. Would you like to come on up, gentlemen?
Thank you, Your Worship. We apologize.
No problem.
Take your coat off, you're gonna be sweating bullets here, brother.
And if I could get you, whoever's talking, to make sure they talk into the mic and move the mic back and forth. We were hoping to have a second mic shortly, but we are on television, so this is great. Eh? You get to get your message way across the airwaves.
Thank you, Your Worship.
So-
And again, our apologies for
That's all right.
getting caught in downtown Harrison.
I know.
Traffic jam.
Yeah, there you go.
And we were also dealing with a large lost barn fire, unfortunately, on
Oh, dear.
County Road 29
Oh,
in Guelph-Aramasa Township, so we were late getting here, so.
No problem.
But in any event, it's an honor to be here. I have Chief Dewar, our Chief of Guelph Wellington EMS. I'm here in my role as General Manager of Emergency Services, not as Fire Chief for the
Yep.
City of Guelph.
okay.
And, but we're here as part of our initiative to visit the towns and townships within Wellington County to talk about Guelph Wellington EMS and also to reflect on the partnership we have with the various towns and townships within the county and how important that is. And right off the bat, I'd like to say and acknowledge Chief Harrow and his members for their phenomenal support in providing tiered response in support of emergency medical services.
Thanks, Sean.
So this, we're here to talk a little bit about the response time performance plan that we've approved for 2015, and as part of our provincial requirements, Your Worship, we're obligated to provide these numbers to the Ministry of Health on an annual basis. And as I said, we have a legislative requirement to provide this information, and this is the response time performance plan for 2015.
Perfect.
In 2013, the plan really talked about what we knew we could provide, what we had with existing resources, and we set CTAS levels 1 through 5 performance, and I'll let Chief Dewar talk a little bit about the CTAS and what that means.
Pass that over.
Thank you. CTAS levels are a scoring system used by the hospitals in Canada to differentiate high acuity patients from the lower acuity patients. The CTAS 1 patients are the ones that need immediate attention. There need to be resuscitation there. They're unconscious, vital signs absence, extreme shortness of breath, patients that where we can make a significant difference. CTAS 2 patients have relatively stable vital signs but are still dealing with a life-threatening complaint such as a cardiac chest pain or even a stroke where their vital signs are stable but they have a high potential to deteriorate, and then it progresses down to a CTAS 5 patient where our intervention isn't really necessary, maybe a sprain but not a fracture, that type of thing. So we focus on trying to get to the CTAS 1 patients where our interventions can make a difference, and by being available for those calls, the other response times actually improve as we go.
As you can see, Your Worship, members of council, our compliance rate is generally on target. You can see 65% of the time was our target set, and as I said, that was based on what we thought we could provide, and we're providing it around 66.67% of the council-approved standard. In the CTAS level 2 at 75%, we're almost there at 74.3, and you can see the rest for yourself. The last level is a sudden cardiac arrest, and that really speaks to any responder and also the fire department members of the Minto Fire Department. We're starting to track those numbers also, and the application of a defibrillator or a heart start unit to put on a patient suffering a cardiac event. And not only do we have those on our fired vehicles within the County of Wellington, I think most all of them that respond, on-tiered response, have them now. We also have them in our arenas and our public assembly facilities. Yeah. We're starting to see across Wellington County in the coverage area in Guelph some saves with respect to the use of those public access defib machines. Chief Dewar and his staff have a partnership with Heart and Stroke Ontario, and if you have an interest in having a public access defib machine, we'll get you on the list and put one in your arenas or your assembly
I
areas.
believe we have them in all our arenas and our pool and our curling clubs in the wintertime because they take the ones from the pools, their pools and something like that.
Oh, excellent.
We've had training on that.
Perfect.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I do.
Questions now, or do you want them?
Sure, we could take it now.
The response time, do you average it between urban and rural, or is there a category for each? Because I believe the target is different for urban versus rural.
Yeah, for this particular chart, it's a combined urban and rural, and we can start breaking that out.
You don't have to, but I just wanted
slide.
to make sure that that was understood.
Thank you. Next slide.
Retired OPP inspector. Copper little boy. So lots of questions for the fire and ambulance.
So we were able to, we didn't think we'd be able to comply to 65% of the time at CTAS level 1 based on the types of calls, but we did some interventions and kind of squeezed the last bit of juice out of the orange, so to speak. We opened a station in Hillsburg. That provided a better overall response. We did temporarily stationed an ambulance in the downtown core, which is the busiest part of the complete coverage area of Guelph and Wellington County. That's where the most density of our calls occur. We think that has something to do with the amount of people downtown after hours and the nightlife as a contributing factor. And we changed the deployment plan for areas of Minto and Wellington North when one or more EMS calls are occurring in those areas. And Chief Dewar can little highlight on what that is.
That occurred in 2013, and what we looked at was when a call occurs, for instance, here in Harriston, do we bring the ambulance from Wellington North over, or do we leave it in the station? Do we move, if a call occurs in Wellington North, do we move the vehicle from here in Harriston? We adjusted a couple of different ways to see what the impact would be. In moving the vehicle towards Wellington North, it did create a short time period where the response times were a little bit higher in Minto, but I don't think you will have heard about it because we're talking about seconds. And we've balanced it out now so that we think we have, again, as Chief Armstrong was talking about it, that we've achieved probably the maximum they can with the resources. But that's the kind of adjustments we're trying to make sure that we're being as efficient as possible.
So Councillor Faulkner's discussion, you can see as as with any averages, as you start to break it down into the detail, some areas within the county and the city have differing response time performances, and as you can see, the targets change somewhat. I think that's largely due to the geographic area of the county and how do we get from not only to the calls across a larger area, but how do we repatriate an ambulance back from a hospital to the service area and still maintain coverage across. So you see that obviously, logically speaking, it'll be a longer response time for a broader area. So we have some ideas on how to address that in the future. So we wanted to look at the existing staffing of the ambulances and the staffed hours. So we were looking at asking for an increase in that budget for the 2015 budget year. We're redefining tiered response agreements with the area chiefs, and as I said earlier at the introduction, Chief Harrow, not only with his expertise in EMS, but also his profile within the provincial Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs, he's well tuned to the issues with respect to fire and EMS and the partnerships that we have. So he's been very helpful to be at the table during those discussions. We thank your worship for that. And we will seek additional resources through the budget for consideration. That is already in play. We were suggesting that we would meet with the Operations Transit and Emergency Services Subcommittee of Council to talk about in June, have a special meeting with respect to the response time performance plan. What we're looking at now with the event coming up in October with the change in some municipalities, we thought we'd open and extend an invitation once the new councils are established and invite all of the county councilors in towns and townships, and also the new city councilors, if there are any, to participate in this meeting to better understand the complexities of EMS. This was approved in June that the response time performance plan be set that I just reviewed with you, and that we would extend a special meeting of the Otis group with the county and city councilors. That's it for that one. I'd be happy if there's any questions on that.
Councillor Caldwell and Councillor Deputy Mayor.
Yes, through you, Mayor Briggs. Currently, where are the ambulances situated in Minto?
We have an ambulance that's in Harrison, right beside the water tower. That's our presence in Minto. And then the ambulance that serves the Mapleton area is actually stationed out of that same station in Harrison. And the staff report for work there, and then they drive down to Mapleton each day for each. It's only staffed during the day. The call volume in the Minto area is higher than it is in the Mapleton area, so that when it becomes busy, we move the ambulance back towards Minto. Balance of probabilities are the next call will occur in this area. So you have basically 1.5 ambulance coverage, if that makes any sense.
And does the ambulance in Harrison move throughout the day?
Absolutely. There's a deployment plan. So we also have 2 ambulances in Wellington North, one being in Mount Forest and the other one being in Arthur. And so we attempt to maintain coverage based on the 3 vehicles. So as soon as one of them goes out, the other 2 move to try to maintain some kind of coverage. If the ambulance picks up a patient and takes the patient to Palmerston, then you're maintaining this kind of coverage. If they go to Louise Marshall in Mount Forest, then we'll move the Mount Forest ambulance over here and try to maintain coverage that way. So it's all based on how many calls there are and where they end up. In the worst case scenario, when all of the ambulances are on a call, the last ambulance goes to Tiviotdale, and from there they can go wherever they are needed. The concept is try to keep a fluid deployment so that we can anticipate where the next call will come and be as close as we possibly can.
Yes, do these services ever cross county borders depending on the situation? Like if there's, nobody in Palmerston and Mapleton would, for instance, would an ambulance come from Listowel to answer the call?
Absolutely. The ambulances are actually dispatched by the province in the Provincial Ambulance Dispatch Center. Central Ambulance Communication Center is called, which is referred to as the CAC. So that system is provincial. They don't look at our boundaries. They look at where the closest ambulance is. So if that's in Perth County, that's who gets sent. And likewise, if we're the closest ambulance to a call in Perth County, we go there. It all balances out pretty much in the end, but you will see the closest ambulance sent no matter where it's from. And sometimes it's even an ambulance that's passing through the area. There's frequently, for instance, a Bruce or a Grey County ambulance that went to Hamilton and they're on their way back. They may be passing through and they may be the closest ambulance, and they're all on the radar of the CAC system.
Thanks. Thank you, Mayor Bridge. You talk about fluid deployment. How often are we not protected in Minto, North Wellington? I mean, there's got to be times when, and I know that you guys have a tough job, but how often is that ambulance is sitting in Tiviotdale and it gets called? Do you guys, is there a way to tap into our local fire service is that the last string?
Absolutely, and that speaks to both questions on the complexity of EMS. When the last ambulance is being used in the entire system, we go to what's known as a code red, and we've tracked that about 3 or 4 times last year. So that's also a denominator of maybe needing more resources eventually as the demand and pressures. But EMS staff are working on that, and that's why the partnership between the town and townships, which brings us here today, is so important in terms of the basic life safety with respect to the patient's care. And so if we can engage the local fire service through the agreement to go and assist with CPR and basic first aid and life support with our support, then we can get somebody there if the ambulance is beyond the normal response time standard. And that's hopefully then an ambulance from Listowel or that's making its way over can get there. The fire team is in place and making sure everything's stable and static until we arrive, and then the patient can get looked after.
So we are being well looked after.
Yeah, as we've presented, we have times where we do need some more resources. We are going to make that ask in the budget and make sure that we're striking a balance between having the right amount of resources to gauge with demand.
Right, thanks. Ron?
I assume it's similar to mutual aid with fire departments where you cross over and share across counties and across boundaries. My question is when you have an emergency and you talk about coordinating, who is that person that's sitting out there deciding that now we go to code red, or now we need an extra ambulance coming in from Listowel, and we need to move this ambulance to where? Like, have you got one dispatch person that coordinates that whole situation? How does that work?
Well, the communication center is at Royal Oak Road in Cambridge, and it's a bit of a dance between the management staff at Guelph Wellington EMS being notified by the Royal Oak Road people at the communication center, and making sure that as the deployment plan that we filed to make sure that we have resources staged across the county, and when it starts to deplete, that one of the communication officers will call a manager at Guelph Wellington EMS, and they'll decide, do we need to up staff? Do we need to get to the hospitals and look at offload delays? We need to see when that ambulance is coming back from Hamilton with a transfer, and they start to manage that as we get down to lower levels of staffing.
So your people in the field will make the call originally, and then they'll say, we need help, and it goes from there.
To some extent, that's correct. For as much as we can, we write out the plan ahead of time. If you have 2 ambulances available, you do this, 3 ambulances, you do this. That much is pre-planned. And then there needs to be a little bit of fluid movement based on the circumstances. As far as when an ambulance is required, the computer system, all ambulances are tracked on satellite tracking, and the computer system knows which ambulance is the closest. So that part of it is not discretionary. It's the dispatcher will send the closest ambulance, but the planning is as Chief Armstrong explained, is a dance, but it's also, as much as we can, we predetermine it. And again, we tell them when there's only 1 ambulance available, it goes in Tiviotdale. When there's 2, they go here and here, and they constantly move them around to try to match that plan.
And,
Yeah, sorry, Mayor Bridge.
Yep.
Just lost my train of thought.
It'll come back.
Yeah, probably tomorrow. Sorry.
I, just if you think about it, Taylor,
Yeah,
just in wrapping up, I'd like to just say it's a tough job you've got. I know at the county level, and we have supported the ambulance services, and we certainly would like to see our numbers up. And that number is the overall rural number, is it not? Do we have one for Minto alone?
We don't have that presented today, but we can get that.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit of work to do.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I didn't know if you did break it out or not,
Yeah.
but certainly from a county councillor standpoint, I would support to get some more resources going, and hopefully Guelph will come on board with us and do the same thing, because it's been a big subject at the county council level, and certainly we'd like to support as much as we can on that. So thank you today, gentlemen, for coming. And oh, Terry's got it.
I looked at Councillor Hembley and it came back.
That's
blank,
Yeah.
That's pretty scary.
Don't blame me.
The statistics that you quoted with respect to response times and whatnot, those are strictly EMS, or do they incorporate the fire response as well?
That's strictly EMS.
EMS, yeah.
that's
So
what we're
they're
required.
probably a little better than that, because the fire departments tend to be, in a lot of cases, closer and get there first.
Yeah, when there is a delay in EMS, we certainly are starting to track that application of that Heart Start machine, which would come with the fire department. We don't have real great numbers right now for that, but as this starts to evolve, we'll start to really see and refine how well the fire departments are doing on behalf of the partnership we have.
Thanks.
Yeah, and the defibrillator is very important, and that's, I know we've done a lot of training and for some of our people, so a lot of volunteers know how to run them, so that's good. The new ones are nice too, right?
Yeah, they're fairly
Yeah.
simple to operate.
Yeah, thanks very much
All
for
right,
coming.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. Hey, if you need an extra car, Chief Harris said he's not that busy. Put a tracking device on his. He's got a defib and some O2. You can give Chris a call anytime you want.
Thank you for that offer.
Thank you.
See how happy he is to respond to that?
Thanks, guys.
Brought a smile to his face, didn't it?
There you go. He's such a happy man.
All worked out. Moved by Councillor Colwell, second by Councillor Elliott, the Town of Minto Council convenes in the Committee of the Whole. All in favor? Okay. Correspondence. E agendas, the Town Highway Official Plan Amendment, announcement of the new OPP billing model. Questions? Okay. Motion to accept the correspondence? Councillor Faulkner, Councillor Hemley, all in favor? Great. Now we go into minutes, minutes. And we have the board minutes. I didn't even recognize these board minutes, Terry, because they're always written before.
I think our secretary was away.
Oh. But anyways, James Way Manor Board Minutes and Maitland Valley, order James Way. Any questions on James? And Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, we have two, on May 21st and June 18th.
I could just.
Sure. Yeah.
Mayor Bridge. I don't know if you recall or not, but we had General Manager Secretary Phil Beard at our last meeting.
Yep.
And he asked if we had any issues or concerns or wants or things that we thought that the Conservation Authority should be doing on our behalf. So I haven't heard anything, but if there is something, I would be more than willing to take it to the board and see what can be done.
Councillor Faulkner.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, Deputy Mayor Fisk, the issue that Mark brought up, does the Maitland Valley Conservation have any?
Oh, it's Ministry of Natural Resources.
Well, no, I realize that, but But certainly, the Maitland Valley Conservation, they do track fish, habitat,
Yeah,
so to
habitat.
speak. And I'm just wondering if there was any
Well, I
role
think,
to play there.
I think if you recall, they were kind of fine tuning what they're going to be doing.
Yeah,
and
that's
The
right.
resources aren't, yeah, the resources
great,
aren't there.
yeah.
Fine for it.
So
Fair enough.
It is a Ministry of Natural Resources
It sure
issue.
is, sure is.
So, yeah, I had marked that down too, so we'll have to make sure that, the feedback we gave that day was, I think they're going in the right direction.
Yeah, if there is anything, though,
We maybe should send something more formal, just to
Well,
let them know, right?
yeah, I'm more than willing to
Can-
present it if there's something that this council feels
Can we,
you
Bill?
need to
just
bring
do
to
a-
their attention.
Yeah, so Bill will get something to you. And when's your next meeting?
It's the third Wednesday of the month, so it's
Yeah.
what's this?
So if anybody has anything that, let us know, but
17th.
I think just the fact that I think the council thought they were going in the right direction and how to concentrate on certain things.
Well, even,
We'll let them know that, so they know it, right?
I think even telling them that they're on the right track is worthwhile, is
exactly.
worthwhile endeavor.
Yeah, okay. Motion to receive the minutes, 3 sets. Council Colwell, Council Turton, all in favor? We'll get that to you, Chair. That's those. And now we can turn it over to, launch it.
Okay, I have 2 sets of minutes to present to you today. The first one are the minutes of July 18th. So the town will be applying for the Wellington County Business Retention and Expansion Implementation Fund, which is worth $25,000. And $10,000 of that grant would go towards Launch It operational budget, and $4,800 of that grant would go towards creating a 2-minute promotional video for Launch It, which is similar to the videos that were done for the Creative Economy. We had a meeting with Jamie Doran from the Guelph Innovation Network and also CEO of Innovation Guelph. I spoke to you earlier about Launch It was interested in becoming part of the GIN, and we actually have since received the credo. And essentially this credo is just outlining the goals and the areas of opportunities in which the cooperation is going to work towards. And so some of the main things are we're just going to work collectively as a local business support alliance, act inclusively and cooperatively with other regions and networks in Ontario, promote entrepreneurship across the region, offer business coaching and mentoring services, training and education programs and opportunities, and collective lobbying for investment in our region. So that is the credo that we will be signing and agreeing to as part of the GIN to form our membership with the GIN to be official members. We also, actually I'll move on to the minutes from August 15th. We have some good news. We have a potential business that is considering taking 2 of the offices in Launch It. They are looking towards a move-in date of October the 1st, so we don't have any leases signed to date, but that is a great opportunity for us to have a business that wouldn't otherwise be in Minto, moving into Minto, so that's something that's really exciting and coming down the line. And we also will be hosting a one-day entrepreneurship event in October. It'll be on the Monday of Small Business Week, which is October the 20th. The event will run from 9 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we'll be having a continental breakfast as well as a free lunch. And the day will consist of a bunch of educational seminars, which will also include a keynote speaker. And actually, since these minutes have been typed up, we have heard from Saugeen Economic Development Committee that we will be receiving funding that should cover the cost of the entire day, aside from the cost of meals for our attendants. So that's really good news. Hopefully would act as a good fundraiser for us for that. So.
Questions? Other than, I just want to say, it's going really well, and, again, that's a great board you've got there.
Yes.
Not that I'm on it, but I'm just that there's other people on it. But they've really come up with some good ideas, and this gym thing, I think it's just got so much upward potential.
For sure.
To be the northern part of the Wellington County.
Yeah, the northern node, yeah. One of the great things about that is, again, the referral process.
Yep.
Hopefully they can refer businesses who are looking for a more rural atmosphere to us, and that should really help us to put us on the map at least.
And one of the pitch that is working with a mentor told me the other day that they got some funding from Saugeen Development Bank, and they're moving ahead with their project, and it's really worked well. I won't use names, but
Yes.
it's really worked well. So that just makes me really happy because you see how it's working.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
and that business will get up and running, and that's really good to see.
Yes, good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Motion on those? Moved by Councilor Caldwell, second by Councilor Curtin, all in favor? Great. Hmm?
We're gonna make all the motions.
They were gonna make all the motions today. I'll make sure somebody else does the next one, Bill. Culture Roundtable. It is you.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were doing them all as one.
Well, we did all of them as one.
But you still wanted me to talk.
Well, yeah, we have to have a talk. No. We just launch it once.
Okay,
Let's just
I'll
launch
be
it.
brief.
All right.
I'm headed off to Ottawa tomorrow for the International Downtown Conference that I'm presenting, and Pitch It is one of the topics I'm talking about. So
Right on.
I promise I'll be quick today. So, Culture Roundtable just wrapped up a really busy summer. We had our 3 concerts in the park series, and Taylor, our summer student, did an awesome job coordinating those. We obviously would have liked to have higher turnouts, and we'll try some new means of communication for next year to get the crowds out, but we are planning on carrying that on. It was a nice venue. So that's all wrapped up for this year. We just had our Murder at the Meiklejohn on Thursday night, and I'm getting all kinds of phone calls from those that attend about how much fun they had and what a great time. So I'm sure we'll be doing that again. It was a great venue at the Meiklejohn House, and thanks to Ralph and Irene for looking after us.
Just out of curiosity, who decided that they would bring 2 Meiklejohn people there, with the last name Meiklejohn, to stay in the rooms upstairs during that? Because I
Yes,
thought
I
that was
know.
well done.
Yeah, there was a couple from the Peterborough area that were passing through in their
When they saw
Meiklejohns.
the Meiklejohn, they're actually
Stayed at the
named the
Meiklejohn
kids.
house.
So, yeah.
The night, and they walked in when this was all going on, so, yeah. Culture Days is coming up though, so, pay attention for the last weekend in September. We partnered with some groups and clubs, and so the Arts Council will be having something happening the Friday night and the Saturday, and the Historical Society has a presentation and displays and stuff happening on Saturday as well. So that's the last weekend in September. And last but not least, we've just kicked off our Songwriters Challenge, so there's a little bit of information there on that program. The lyrics are due on October 8th, and then we're going to be having live performances by the songwriters or their bands, etc., at the Norgan Theatre on October 24th, I believe. And people can come and vote. We'll be posting them on Facebook and YouTube, and people can vote. And these people, 8 people will be chosen, and they will be produced on a CD, and we can sell the CDs. We're going to do a CD release party, and these people will also be paid performers at next year's concerts in the park. So that's an exciting new initiative. So I think that's all that I have for Culture Roundtable, unless there's any questions.
One that really wants to get going. No, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Prisco.
Sorry to delay.
That's okay.
Who are Lead Left Productions?
Yeah, sure. So Lead Left Productions.
sorry.
Yep, Lead Left Productions is Morgan Jansen from Clifford and Aaron Wenger from Mount Forest. They have a sound production company and actually event production as well. So they have a recording studio. And they are two young, like my age.
Oh,
Young people. That have this cool business in Minto, and they came to approach our Culture Roundtable group about working together on a project. And originally it started off just as a CD, and then it's evolved into this whole competition and tying it all together. So that's who we're
And the
working
sound
with.
studios in Clifford, and
Their sound studio is in Clifford, yes.
they do get people come
They
up
get
from
people
Toronto and
coming
that,
up from
come
all
up
over
and
to
they
produce
can
music here.
Produce music, yeah.
Yeah.
At his house, I believe.
Yeah, it's at his house right now, yeah. They're working with Launch It. They've been to a couple training sessions for developing a business
Could be a
plan.
possibility.
Yeah, that would be ideal for them to take an office
That's right.
and launch it, would it not?
They both have full-time jobs at TG
Oh,
Minto. So they have those jobs in TG Minto. We want to keep people working
Yeah,
there
we need
too,
people
so.
working there, yeah. That's another whole issue.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but yeah, we are working with them to help them expand their business, and I know Morgan has plans for the sound studio, so, yeah. It's
Thank
kind
you.
of perfect fit.
Thanks, Belinda.
Yep, no problem.
Great stuff.
Good luck in Ottawa.
Yes. Yeah.
You're not leaving, are you?
No, I got one more thing.
Can I have a motion to accept that? I'm going this side. Counselor Hemley, Counselor Elliott, all in favor?
I'm in.
You're in. Oh, I want everybody to be in.
Well, Elaine
Let me
sees
know if you're not
Elaine
in.
sees me on TV, I'm okay.
Yeah, you're good. Okay. Staff reports. Is that you, Bill?
Video.
Clerical, financial? Annalene. Oh, it's Annalene, sorry.
That's all right. The report I have for you today, I know it seems a little early because it's
Christmas.
only September, but look how fast, the summer went, so Christmas is just around the corner. What we're looking at is, last year we were closed for about a week. This year, the way it falls, what we're looking for is to close early on the 24th, be closed the stats the 25th and 26th, and then close early on the 31st, and we'll be closed on the stat of the 1st and the 2nd as well. I went and looked at other municipalities and what their planned closures are for this year, so I'm just asking for your direction.
Yes, Counselor.
Just, Annalene, in respect to last year, type deal, did we run into any, because I believe there was weather issues and whatnot, did we run into anything that, people had to be recalled or anything like that?
No, we had, you mean for road closures and all that?
Yeah.
I think we ended up closing for a part day once, due to a road closure here on 89, but other than that, no.
Good, thanks. Okay, because that would be 24th, 25th.
Counselor Elliott, Counselor Faulkner, all in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt's ready to jump up here.
What would you?
Yeah, you okay with that?
You want more time on?
He wrote it with Annalene, no. Annalene wrote it. You agreed with it. Get in trouble here. Go ahead, Matt.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. I'm here today to talk about health and safety, the Joint Health and Safety Committee here at the town, and then this is just our annual update to council. So basically, just a background on what the Health and Safety Committee does here. Typically, we establish an annual work plan in the fall in our November meeting. We meet every other month. We do semi-annual inspections, and we're also responsible in our own workplaces to do the monthly ones that are required. And then we also review programs and policies where required or requested. We had a busy 2014, and a lot of that had to do with reviewing some of our current programs and policies. So just under the comments there, you'll see that we held our spring inspections on May the 7th, and we plan to hold the fall ones on October the 29th. So that basically spans across all workplaces covered by office, recreation, and public works. We typically go out in pairs, try and find people whose workplace that's not their workplace, just a fresh set of eyes, and just to see if we can find any things that need to be addressed or corrected. This year, we also ensured that all full and part-time staff receive the mandatory worker safety awareness training by July 1st for existing staff, and then any staff that we brought on, they've got that training right away. And we also have developed a supervisory safety awareness training program, and we've ensured that all supervisors that work for the town have received that also. This year, it had been a while, but we had a Ministry of Labor inspector come by and conducted a site visit here, and that was back on June the 19th. As mentioned, they did find that our program was up to date, but did offer some suggestions on things that we could look at doing different. One thing that we have taken seriously is the enhanced training for young workers. That was their province-wide initiative this year. Seems to be a lot of new and young workers are the ones that are getting hurt, so they just wanted to make sure that we were offering the best training possible. Specifically in point 2 was additional training for young workers using the new water truck. So that was for communities in bloom. Mainly what it was there is the, just making sure that all of the training is in writing. As opposed, there was some verbal training happening, and they just basically wanted everything in writing, documented and signed off. We also did a WMIS training renewal, and we updated our work refusal policy. And finally, some changes to the workplace violence and harassment policy, which are on the back page. I'll get to those in a second. So basically, it was nice to have them pop in and visit, and it offered us an opportunity to increase everyone's awareness and to double check that our health and safety program was on track. So just basically on the back page, with respect to the workplace violence and harassment policy, it's basically taking any reference to the Health and Safety Committee's involvement in an investigation and putting that responsibility onto the appropriate department head and the CAO clerk. So some of the changes to the investigation procedure, it was in red font, but you won't be able to see it because it's in black there. But basically, under the title investigative procedure, the second sentence is new. So it just says the department head, in consultation with the CEO clerk, will conduct an investigation which may involve external resources. The paragraph below that's already in the policy. The one below that is new in the event a department head is involved. And that just basically spells out what to do in the event your supervisor is harassing you. So, and it basically would involve the department head, the CEO clerk, and it may even involve the mayor, depending on who's harassing who or allegedly harassing who. One thing we're going to do this fall, and that's to take effect in 2015, is we're restructuring the committee slightly. So right now we have 3 members of Public Works on the committee, and we're going to reduce that to 2. And we're going to increase the rec involvement by 1 staff person, just because we do have people that report to the 3 arenas, and that is their workplace.
Right.
So we want to make sure that all 3 arenas are represented, and then also the municipal shop and the Harrison shop will be represented also. Our work plan in 2015 will likely mirror what we had established for 2014, as well as our budget request, but we don't have to talk about that now. Any questions?
Councillor Elliott.
Staff that come on board are like our school kids that work the arenas and such like. I see that you're initiating a training program. Do they have some kind of orientation policy? Do we have that in place? So if a young 15-year-old or 14-year-old comes aboard and is working in the booth, understands that the conditions that they're going into or what they need to do to protect themselves?
Through Mayor Bridge, there's basically 2 sets of training that happen. There's your, what I would call the generic health and safety training. So that's a document that I have. It's basically a binder, and it goes over the employee awareness training. It goes over a generic WMIS, so that's like the multiple choice test. It goes over the work refusal policy. It goes over the workplace violence and harassment policy. But then where the supervisor needs to step in is they need to conduct like the workplace specific training. So if there are hazards on a certain job, that is up to the supervisor to outline to the staff. And there's a form that they can follow just to make sure that they go over everything. So it's something where it's up to the supervisor to make sure the training gets done, and we can basically supply them with the generic binder, and then it's up to them to do the workplace specific part.
Right. What I'm thinking about is deep fryers and the tractor going around, or not the tractor so much as In the summer, maybe they charge you, but, your machines out in the ice and such like, they gotta be aware of what they're looking for.
And there's certainly, like with our aquatic staff, they're around chemicals and, you know, it's whether or not they're required to use them, they still need to be aware of them and trained on what to do in the event that something were to happen. So that's something that's supervisor specific.
It's good to know that we have.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else? Matt, you do a great job on this committee. It's a tough committee in a sense that there's a lot of maintenance on it to make sure it's done right, and thanks for all your help on it.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. We've got a good group.
Yeah, your group's good.
Yeah, we got a really good group.
Thank you. And motion to accept. Councilor Faulkner, Councilor Turton, all in favor? Get you next time, Chair. I gotta get everybody in.
You look worried.
Yeah, you look worried. No, you're just coming up a little late on the. Oh, here we are. Oh, and look at here. I didn't even get to introduce them. They're right here.
We're keen.
And there's a threesome. So,
Thank you.
yes, yes. Now,
Summer's not over.
I just remind you, you're under oath. No, I'm just kidding. But make sure whoever's talking, make sure the mic, because it's an important message, and we want to make sure the public hears this.
It is an important message,
It is.
yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to start because I guess I know the most background. Well, Karen's been on this committee with me as well. So
Yeah.
our walkable community staff has been around for as long as I have, so 9 years. We started in 2005, formed a committee in 2006, and for those of you that were around, we presented before David Suzuki at the International Walk 21 conference on walkability, so it was pretty cool. And we also worked with a bunch of consultants for free through this process that gave us activities to work on. So one of those things that we did, Councillor Hembley was with us when we toured Westminster Woods in the south end of Guelph. So if anyone's seen Westminster Woods, it's very much a walkable community, and the people that live there are more active, healthier, economic development-wise. It's great because they can charge more for the housing, and people will pay it because they want to live in that community. So this is something that we are trying to build here in Minto, and we've been doing that since 2007, and hence we approved the Sustainable Community Guidelines for development and developers. And doing that, we had other communities contacting us asking for that because they would like to do the same. So we were kind of the first ones to do something of that nature. Later on, we worked with the University of Guelph to try and link the trails in Clifford, Hairston, and Palmerston. So we've done all the research on that. We have talked to local landowners. We did meet with some resistance around that. So we're still going to link the trails, but maybe not through people's properties. We also, as you know, did streetscape plans for all 3 of our downtowns, and we'll complete that next year when we do the Hairston Hoedown Revitalization Project in 2015.
Oh, I like that. That's the new term?
That's the new term.
Not officially.
Not
but
officially, okay. I like the big.
So far, that's what it is. And then more recently, we've been engaged, well, not myself, but Karen, Matt, and Rick have been engaged with the County Active Transportation Plan, which links all the 7 municipalities and their trails, coming up with signage plans and all that sort of stuff that have been approved. So over to Karen.
This is Karen Armstrong, by the way. If you don't know Karen, everybody knows you, Karen. So.
Yes, thank you. Just to give you some context on the Walkability Award that we're applying for, it was something that's been done in the States for about 20 years. And they've adopted the American model in Canada, and I sat on that committee. And they were really looking for some innovative, progressive communities, so I suggested that Minto would be a great example. So that's kind of the history to where it came to Minto. I did sit on the committee representing rural municipalities, and so that the urban context didn't dominate, so it would represent both urban and rural communities.
Thank you, Karen. So why we're here today, so since early June when Karen approached me about the idea of applying for this designation or award, the Walkable Communities Committee has met, and it's we've had great representation from council, recreation, even public works, building and economic development. We even had building and bylaw in for a few minutes there, as well as in Karen's role at the health unit. And we're looking at submitting an application for this this award. And so basically it's a very comprehensive application. It covers an array of items pertaining to walkability, and it just highlights the important roles that all departments here at the town of Minto have in maintaining walkable communities. It's going to be reviewed by an expert panel, and we can basically receive anywhere from honorable mention to bronze, silver, or hopefully gold. In addition, this review, or the review, will provide the Walkable Communities Committee with a set of action steps to direct work next year and beyond. The deadline to apply is September 30th. The application is about 3/4 done, so we're just putting the finishing touches on it, and we'll have it in by then. And then come November, we should find out where we stand. Anything else?
Any questions for the group?
No, I'll maybe just make a few comments, sitting with these people. Very positive, forward group. Unfortunately, you always have some naysayers. And I know there's a couple people on county council, and I think for someone who's pushed them, but they seem to always be pushing back. I was a little disappointed when we never got the bike lanes between Harrison and Mount Forest. That would be nice. And it's like Karen was saying, you know what? Even Belinda, exercise cures a lot of illnesses, not only stress, obesity. You know what? They say exercise 20 minutes a day, and if we can provide venues for people to use, like a lot of, I find it hard to go in your basement and do jumping jacks. You know what? Why not have a bike lane and bike out to the town and pay your taxes, or walk the trails, or you know, just because these people don't use it, they don't think we should put the time and the money into it. I disagree. And maybe when they're running for re-election, maybe they should ask them what their platform is, and see if they're going to cut some of these programs and stuff. But I think it's a great venue. But that's the way of the world. Everybody's going exercise, right? It's physical fitness. So you know, let's move forward and let's get some bike lanes. Let's get the trails going. Let's link up the communities and get it going. So I'd like to thank these three people for being very positive, very forward. Appreciate it.
And can I say something along that lines? It's kind of funny that Councillor Hembley, as Chair of Economic Development, and myself, being the economic development person, are deeply engaged in walkable communities, but there are many economic benefits, and I had wrote a report about that, but I kept it shorter. But if you ever want to talk about the economic benefits about a walkable community, I can certainly give you some notes on that. But thank you to Councillor Hembley for your support on this project too.
And I'll be honest with you, when I first got into economic development and people want to put up subdivisions, say, you know what, I don't think we need a sidewalk, you know, we can save a couple $1,000 on it. And I thought, yeah, okay, that's fine, but you know what? You look at some of these communities, they're putting the trails in behind all these homes and the nice sidewalks that are going in. You know, I've changed my mind, obviously, that I think that's needed and to move forward. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead, Ron, I'm sorry.
Did you want to say something, Ron?
I live in the back of the park in Palmerston, where we built.
You charge for people to go on the park.
I charge for them to go over the bridge.
Over the bridge, you got a
But
little
ever
pole
since
there.
we put that trail in, drove me crazy when Davey Wilson said we wanted to put the brick trails in. I thought, oh man, what a lot of work. Once we did that, the bikes, the people walking their babies, their dogs, you know, it's just amazing that I sit on my back deck and watch the people go by and up over the bridge and walk through the town. I've lived there for years, well, 40. And
40, you're not that old,
I was there when I was 8. And I've never saw the people go over the bridge as much until we got that fixed, and so we got the trail back through there. And absolutely, it's just made our town more active, more people doing things. I see people walking all the time. So you're right on with what you're moving towards, and I certainly appreciate what you've done, what you're going to do.
Okay, and just in wrap up, I know Karen didn't talk about the health issue, but I'm on public health, and certainly we know, we've seen lots of, and I know Belinda's report, it's a longer report, but, and the economic development side, it certainly is part of economic development, because it's where you want to live that drives people to your town now, not necessarily all the other things that we always thought was. So, and we've been to many things on that, Belinda, haven't we, and talked about it. And I'm really hopeful at a county level. I mean, it may not be the perfect solution, but it'll be some solutions. We're going to get some money in the next few years from the county that we can get I'd love to see Palmerston connected to Clifford. I think that's our goal. Rick, and when we get that done, I'll have you come up and walk it with me, eh?
Oh, we'll run it, my friend.
Yeah, we'll run it. But I think that's very important, and we're closer than we think on that. We're getting a lot closer, so keep it up, and hopefully we can win an award here. But thanks for all your efforts. Thank you. Motion to accept that. Deputy Mayor Fisk, Councilor Curtin, all in favor? I got Terry in. And what's this next one? You're on that, Bill? No.
Sure.
Or is that?
Terry is.
Terry's gonna do that one, I think. Oh, okay. You're not doing it. Okay. Are you sure?
Let me get a map here.
No, he's getting a map. There's our map. Okay.
Not beautiful.
Outlined in red, and outlined in yellow, and I never had any.
Oh, is that right? Oh, I see, right here. Did you not get that?
No, that's not it.
That's a different one. No, no, that's.
Mayor Bridge, you did
Yep.
not get the map for this, and
No.
my
I
apologies.
was asking about that.
So we did produce a bit of a map here for the councilors and members of the audience to see. This is an application to allow a lot line adjustment. The lands to be severed are zone C562, and they're a vacant hayfield. And they're gonna be added to the adjoining lands with an existing residential dwelling and shop building. So I'm not sure if our chief building official can point that out.
This is the subject property here. The lot line adjustment is basically this line here.
Okay.
This parcel is being attached to that.
Okay.
That's the old Moorfield Truck Center.
I feel,
I love that. It's the old, but like, this typical of us, eh? Like, it's, so-and-so lived there 4 years ago, 20 years ago, yeah, thanks.
It's Robinson's that own the truck stop, isn't it? Or they sell
I
that?
don't know. I mean,
No, it's Kratz's.
all right, now, we just, go ahead, Terry.
No,
That's it?
pretty much.
So that, as you know, these are considered by a county land division. We met as a group to review what conditions may apply, and we're recommending 2 conditions. The first, that any financial requirements of the town be met, and the second is that before a certificate is given, the use of the severed parcel is verified, and the town provide confirmation that the use conforms with the applicable requirements set out in the zoning bylaw. We're just making sure that the 2 parcels comply with zoning before the lots are actually created by the county.
All right.
If you have a copy of the county report attached to
Yeah.
that as
Yep.
well.
Terry?
Through you, Mayor Bridge, in the notes here, it mentions that this was approved in 2011, and is there a timeline or that they have to do something prior, or it reverts back to the old plan?
Right, when you apply for a severance, you have a year to meet the conditions and 2 years to make a conveyance. And if they don't do either of those things, then the severance lapse, you have to reapply.
And that's what's happening now.
That's what's happening here.
It's already been through it.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. Terry, will you please do your magic there and show us exactly where the lot line is going to be adjusted, the back?
Okay, actually what I can do is I did also have the survey sketch. This one here. So that's where the trucks were parked there.
Right,
That's the
yep.
property line here, and basically they're just extending
Yep.
that side property
So it's going
line
to be,
straight to the back.
it's going to be an L shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then attach that to
Good, thanks.
Any other questions? Motion? Council Elliott, Councilor Faulkner, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, Terry.
Guess I'm up for the next one, Mayor
Up for
Bridge.
the next one, yeah.
That's the special events permit for the Harrison Minto Ag Society. There's a bylaw to temporarily close John, Louise, Elora, and Young Streets from noon till 2 on Saturday, September 13th. And that's for the purposes of the parade. The route is shown in the map. And if there's any questions, I'll attempt to answer them.
Questions? Motion? Councilor Hemley, Councilor Caldwell, all in favor? Good. Thank you. No, that's it's yours too.
Well, me or Gordon or both, or Gordon's coming up.
Gordon's coming up.
Just Mayor Bridge, while we were at AMO, the Premier announced, well, not at AMO, elsewhere while we were at
Yeah,
AMO,
well, we were there.
announced that the Sustainable funding that we've been asking for years, and many other municipalities had asked for. There's two components of it, well, rather three components of it. There's the 100 million Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, which for the first 3 years of the program has an application-based and a formula-based component. It's actually a 10-year program, so I guess after 3 years they'll have a look and hopefully they'll go for more formula-based calculation, but anyway. And then there's also another intake of the Small Communities Fund, which is 272 million at each level, federal and provincial, and that's for municipalities of 100,000 or less. And that is another merit-based or application-based program. So we have two opportunities to apply, and the purpose of this report was just to give you information about the two programs and to give you two ideas for projects that we believe you should select. There is still time left if there's a project that you feel must occur. The issue is that these projects have to be known to be the highest priority infrastructure need that you have. And you'll recall we had our roads needs study presented by Triton Engineering and our bridge and culvert assessment presented by Burgess Engineering. And in those were two projects that were both identified as very high priorities. For the culvert side of things, it was Bride Road between 3rd and 5th line. And for roads, it's always been the Elora Street reconstruction or the Harrison Hoedown, whatever you would like to call it.
Harrison Hoedown, yeah, Harrison Hoedown.
I don't know, Gordon, if you wanted to speak about the
Sure.
program more. Or?
Yeah, there's two program guides, as you know, both of them. And the formula-based one is a little bit related to the OMPF one, which, as you remember, Minto does well at because low assessment, low median income, and a high level of infrastructure assets too. So again, we have like 67 million in infrastructure and average income of 57,000 and assessments of 193. So that certainly helps. And we received an email while we were at AMO after meeting with Peter Milson there that we'll probably get at least 100,000. And again, the uses are pretty similar. There's a few variants in the fine print there too. We did receive some cost estimates like 2 hours ago.
Oh, okay.
Just to give you a rough idea, and we can, like, we have till September 19th, but the net for the Bride Road bridge is about 610,000, which is, it's not a cheap bridge, that's for sure. No.
Well, then none of them are cheap.
No, but
Well,
that one, yeah, and we're talking with Mike McIsaac too, and this includes kind of like raising and extending the bridge too to make it safer. And I think that's going to be our angle here, is that this is a public safety issue, and this road and bridge are very hard to service, especially in the winter. So,
does everybody remember the Bride one? Remember we went on the roads tour, we looked at it, and it's really scary.
And
like, there's no, just basically you fall off.
32.5 rating?
What is it?
I think the rating is something like a 32.5 out of 100.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
That's really bad.
Really bad.
The other one.
Tell us the good news.
Yeah. Well, the good news is the worse it is, the more likely. Anyway. And our engineers have a unique idea for downtown Harrison too. They're thinking of putting it in as one big Minto project, right from William Street to the outskirts near Murphy's, and recognizing the county as a contributor of 750,000. So that's like a $2.3 million project. Again, subject to our refinement, but they're suggesting we ask for about 45% of that, which would be about $1,050,000. So here's one way the province can, and the federal government can kick in less than half and spur 2.3 million in infrastructure and jobs and all that kind of thing. So the guides, as I think if you remember when we met with Windsor, one of the staff says, read them carefully because there's a lot of little glitches in there, and it's right. But I think we're meeting all the requirements. Again, I was talking with another treasurer this morning, and it's like
they suggested December 14 for your asset management plan, but really it was 13. So if you didn't have that done, I don't think you could do this. And I think the road rating for that section is a 5, is that right? So, so that's low. So again, you have to demonstrate that you're using your asset management plan as part of your decision making, and that's one thing these two projects do. But
Well, I think that
Yeah.
kind of tells you in a way, you know, I know it was hard to get that asset management plan done, Gord, but we kept being warned that if no programs are gonna be happening without it.
That's right.
And this one definitely, if you don't have it, and not just asset management, there's a couple other things. And we've got our ducks in a row, which is a blessing on this council. This council's good wisdom to do that and force that issue through and pay a few extra dollars to get it done. And I give you a lot of credit for that too. It was done in-house, which I find out, not a lot of people did it in-house. They had a lot of consultants do it, so
yeah,
good
it's
job by
different.
you.
Yeah,
So raise
can't
the
help.
Gordon then.
Well,
Oh, no, well, we
Or
would
an
have, but then,
assistant,
well, yeah.
there
He
you are.
really doesn't want it.
There you go.
So, has anybody got any concerns about the projects? Maybe that, Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, it's not a concern, but generally these types of projects are 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, but this is a little different. Do I understand that right? Or?
You're partly right. That's why I had to keep, and I still don't have a definitive answer, but yes, so the OCIF is all provincial, and there's a cap on it, but we can ask for 90% or 10% or whatever. The other one is a 1/3, 1/3. The SCF is a whole new set of acronyms in that. So I'm presuming, and the way we read it is, when we do the expressive interest for the SCF, we're bringing the province along for that. So the province is doing 1/3 of the SCF, all of the OCIF, and all of the formula-based ones. So there's really 3 programs on the go here. So, yeah. And then the 1/3, 1/3 ones, they're going to be the traditional, where we pay the contractor, put in a claim and get it back. The other one is that milestone one, and that milestone is the one we like because we get a bit of money when we get first approval, and then when we award the contract, we get more. So, and that's worked out really well on the other one. So, again, the thing with the SCF, no guarantee. We might get $0. We might get all of our requests, but. So.
And it says that it's available to municipalities of less than 100,000.
That's right.
Do we know how many municipalities there are in Ontario with less than 100,000?
Oh, I think it's, well, that's everybody. I think it's about 250 or so. That was one, I forget if you went to those consultations. That was a big thing that the rural ones had. We wanted to drop that 100 down to 25.
That was a little while ago we talked about that.
Yeah.
When they first came over with that 100.
So your Stratfords and Owen Sounds are in with us
In with
too.
us, yeah.
Trenton, Belleville. Anyway.
Thank you.
Councillor Elliott.
Gordon, can we start the project and still get the money, or do we have to still wait?
Not the SCF. You have
So
to
we
wait
still have to
until
wait?
the agreement. Yeah, that's one of the little fine print things,
So we
yes.
can't get onto it until we find out
Right,
later.
but the timing isn't too bad. The OCIF is 2016, and the other one is 5 years. The Wrinkle one is the formula. You only have 1 year. You get the money in March, so
Right.
basically you have to do it that
So we
construction
rock
season.
on for there.
That's right.
Thanks.
Any questions? Okay, we're good with those two, okay. Motion to accept. Councillor Turton, Deputy Mayor Fisk, all in favor? Carried.
Okay, so one resolution will do for both of the
Both?
We'll,
EOI?
you can manufacture the resolution.
All right.
I'll do that for you.
Very
I'll let
good.
you do that little wordsmithing. And it's up, we're bringing us up to the next one, Bill, and that's yours, I believe. Exciting.
Thank you, Mayor
moment.
Bridge. I don't know if you, or two gentlemen are in the audience.
They are.
In case council has questions, they may want to come up.
Did you guys want to come up to the front in case you have questions, or? Bruce and. Brad?
Mayor Bridge, we have Bruce Fulcher and Brad Schwint here, who are the team we've been working with the staff and your worship in attempting to move forward the sale of this property, which has been somewhat of in discussion for 2 or 3 years with council here. Thanks to these gentlemen, to the staff, for supporting these efforts. We have reached an agreement of purchase and sale that has been signed by Brad, and so we have seeking your direction for council to execute it as well. And just a reminder on where we came from and how we got to where we are. At one time, there was a development proposed on where the new ball field is in Clifford in the John Holman Park. When we put together the Clifford Ad Hoc Recreation Committee, we talked about where to go with the arena, and we also got into talking to them about recreation opportunities in Clifford. And one idea that came out of that process was, well, could we sell the old ball field and build a new one down where there was a developer attempting to develop Rotary Club lands. That went through council, and you gave direction to pursue that, and there was a gentleman involved, Mr. Underwood, who worked on that as well, and we got the zoning in place, but we weren't able to reach an agreement on price, and he did decide to move on to other things, and through the community's work, we did get the new ball field built. We opened it with the swing skirts not too long ago, and that's a success story with the Rotary Club giving back to the community the cost of that land acquisition from them, and soon it'll have lights and be properly named and will be part of the recreation infrastructure in Clifford. Once we had the zoning in place, we attempted to deal with the first landowner on the property, and when we weren't able to, we talked to council about, well, maybe we'll go out to real estate, or what will we do? And it was actually Brad speaking to our CBO and our recreation facilities manager about other things when he happened to find out about this property. So we started to discuss with him and Bruce what we might be able to do there. And so we have this agreement of purchase and sale that's now in place. It is a conditional agreement of purchase and sale. The purchase price is $180,000 plus $60,000 that will go to the lateral services. And you have a drawing in your report that you can see the approximate layout as it stands at this point. And in addition to the services that will be built, there will be a park and stormwater pond in between the two blocks of townhouses. So it's going to be an exciting development for Clifford, and makes excellent use of the services that are already in place. What we're agreeing with Brad and Bruce to do is to work jointly with them on this project over the next 2 years in terms of marketing, making sure it's on our website and adequate information gets out here. And we do have a media release that's been given to the media people here, was reviewed by Brad and the mayor today. The town's contribution will be half of the lateral service costs. So the lateral services will include having to repave both roads. You'll see there's lots of cuts in there, 7 or so, and also doing a sidewalk and putting in a fire hydrant. So we're basically agreeing to split those costs. So hence the $60,000 that would come from the developer. We would have an equivalent amount roughly to go toward that work as well, in addition to the $180,000 purchase price. Brad would like to phase the development, so we're selling half sort of now, and the other half would be developed within 2 years, and with any luck, everything will go all at once, and we'll have 14 new excellent townhouses in.
Oh, that's awesome.
In terms of procedure from here, we hope to get your direction to accept the offer to purchase. We're going to give notice this week, if you do that we're going to be closing the sale in our first meeting in October, which would be October 7th. And then on the 16th, we hope to bring back to you Brad's grading, drainage, and site plan in detail. So he's engaged BM Ross, I believe, to do that work for him, and that would come forward for approval by council. So there's a lot of other little details in there. Maybe Brad could talk about his development a little bit too, Your Worship. Good things about trees being planted and retaining the stormwater and developing a park and having public access and that kind of stuff. But certainly our recommendation is that you give direction to allow the mayor and I to sign the agreement of purchase and sale, and that which has conditions on it that we have to follow, and that we proceed to give notice that we're going to close up the unopened road allowance and conclude the sale on October 7th.
Light it up. Questions?
Through you, Mayor Bridge, a couple of things. It mentions here site plan application fees are included in the purchase purchase price.
Mhm.
Could you give us some idea what those fees might be if it wasn't included in the purchase price?
It would be $3,500, of which only $700 would be non-refundable. So essentially, it's
Minimal.
$700 plus security deposits.
And then it says that we're going to join with the developer in marketing the property. How do you anticipate doing that?
The main thing would be, and I know that Brad and Bruce would like to sit down with Belinda in our economic development section and do that, but we have a circular that's going out very shortly on economic development. It would be included in that, along with the Harrison Senior School development. We would post it on our website and link the two together and supply whatever information Brad may need to help him, attract people.
So there'd be little or no cost to us, basically.
Very little cost to the
This is
municipality.
something we do with all our
Thank you.
developers when we have it. Belinda, did you have something you wanted?
Yeah, I was just gonna add, there is a need to, promote our accommodations at housing, our
Yep.
types of accommodations, so we're adding a couple of new features to our website. I'm waiting on a quote, that we can highlight some of these
Yep.
properties that are coming on board, so, definitely we need taking in under that specific part on the new Minto website.
Right. And that's part of our new program that we're gonna be talking about with Move to Minto, which we continue to upgrade because we have, I think, a shortage of housing, especially this type of housing, so it should work out really well. Sorry.
I'd like to applaud you for going ahead with this. I think you're gonna be happily surprised how quick they'll go. Need for this type of building, and I think you'll be quite amazed. I think you'll building the second phase a little quicker, what you think?
I hope you're right.
I've been happily surprised before when I see buildings like this, and it looks like quality outfit that you have, and I've heard quality things about your company, and so,
Well, we've been in business since 1944. The family roots go back to actual Weber name, which is a solid Hairston name, so
Yep.
I'm not really leaving my
Weber.
Mount Forest boundary.
my mom was a Weber.
Excellent, so you're probably my Uncle Ron,
sorry.
so.
There's a conflict we didn't know about.
That's the quality I was talking about.
And he sounds like he can sell 14 units, so he might be my favorite real estate agent here, sure, so. No, I'm looking forward to working with Clifford here and putting Clifford on the map and all your services. I appreciate working together with Belinda, and you two gentlemen have been outstanding so far, so we're looking forward to getting this project in a marketing stage between now and spring, and I hope to turn soil first thing in the spring.
Excellent, Brad.
Awesome. Great stuff.
Thank you.
I think
Thanks,
I
Brad.
can speak for the council here that we're really excited that you're here on this and what you bring to the table. I've had a great opportunity to meet with both you and Bruce, and you've thought this out well, and I think you're ready, and I think it's gonna work out well too. So I will give you as much support as we can.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Bridge, I have one question. Were you starting on William or Brown?
Brown.
You will be on Brown?
Yes.
I think it said Brown. and
Yeah, it does say Brown, but it's, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I would like to start with a triplex on Brown Street, and when that is probably 2/3 sold, then I move into the fourplex. When
Gotcha.
it's at least half, maybe 3, then I move on to the other street.
Good.
Just want to kind of take it in slow, again, unless Ron can find me
I'll go.
14 buyers between now and then we'll get them all up, but,
How much percentage you get? If you get them loaded up first, take it all to me. If they don't, brick smoke.
no, looking forward to working here in Minto, and again, I got to give credit to Terry at the building department. He's been very helpful with some of the questions we've had to ask, and my voice beside me here to the right, he's been keeping all the other stuff that I don't totally understand in check, and I think we've all come to a good agreement, so I need to thank Bruce for that as well.
Well, thanks very much. Thanks for,
Good job.
good job. Thank you. Motion to accept the report. Councillor Curtin and Councillor Caldwell, all in favor? There you go. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for coming.
Ken.
Thank you.
Hope we didn't bore you too much sitting here.
No, it was educational.
Liar!
Well
But
said.
I think I'll keep building though. Thanks.
Get her
Thanks,
going.
guys.
Brad.
Where are we?
Looks good.
Great.
Mayor Bridge, we're doing very well. I think we might finish by 5, but I'll be very brief on the Dan Sinclair York Street servicing agreement. We're attempting to bring up the site plan that you received in your package, which was kind of small. You'll remember back earlier this year, we commented to the county on the severances. One was from a property on York Street to convey one parcel over, and another was from a property on Main Street to convey the back parcel. And that creates kind of a odd-shaped little piece of land, which is this sort of piece right in here. And on that, they propose to develop it for multiple family residential. The issue for now is the developer wants to create the lot in order to build the multiple dwelling on this property. In order to do that, he needs to meet conditions of severance. When we reported to you before, we were worried that there wasn't sewer and water to the property, but in this site plan, there is actually water and sewer lines down to here, and you can see the lateral connections going into the building in this location. So sewer and water is provided for in this plan. In terms of stormwater management, there would be a parking lot and a lot of impervious surface here as a result of building. So in this area, there's a small retention pond shown, and then it would outlet across an easement that would go out between these two, this house and the house being built on here, and to Main Street. And that easement would come to the town. So it's, what you're getting here is very, very preliminary information. It shows, based on this engineered drawing prepared for the developer, that it is a serviceable lot. And I think that's what we want to make sure is the case, that once these deeds are stamped, that parcel that is created can be serviced. And the information we have from Triton estimates the cost of him doing that at about $24,000. So what we're recommending to you is that an agreement in the form that's attached to the report be considered, whereby we'd have an agreement registered on title for this parcel that says, here is the servicing approach that council is going to be looking for. You're going to need a site plan approval, and you're going to be responsible for the $24,000 costs, or whatever costs are in place at the time you develop. So this will allow him to create the lots, have the development out to market, whether he builds it himself or someone else does. At least the parcel is created. So we know we're creating a serviceable lot. So if council agrees to this and Mr. Sinclair signs the agreement, then we would be reporting to the county land division that the servicing and financial conditions of the town have been met.
Councilor Paul.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, CEO White, this area, right here, would it not be, there's an easement involved in this area, correct? Would it not be better to bring the services in off that as opposed to off of York Street?
What's being asked is, should we put the sewer and water up here with the storm sewer? The engineer is recommending it be at this place. One of the issues here would be, if you had all three of them in there, you'd need a wider easement, and that may affect the building envelope in here, so I think they want to go out to the street at that location, and then just have a storm, it'd actually be a storm sewer and overland flow, so when that pond floods over, it'll flood out over that to the street, so.
To Main.
Within the easement, and it would flood out to the Main Street, so that's the way it's designed at this point.
Because and the reason I ask that is the levels, like the parking lot of the old high school where they used to park the buses back there, and then it goes down into the football field, that would be the natural flow of the water, would it not?
I think what would happen here is, though, this site would be raised up.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, I didn't look at the elevations to find out how much.
And the one last question I have is, I should remember, but I don't, the number of units that we're going to be, that were approved for that area, or for that site.
If I may, we were talking about 5 at the time, but it could be actually quite a bit more.
Could be up to 14.
Depending on, because it is zoned R3, I think.
Yeah, it depends on the building height. Minimum density is 5 units, and I think they ran the math, not that anyone would ever build it, but I think 56.
Oh, that's great, yeah.
56?
Large number anyways.
You're not gonna see that, but, yeah, at least 5 units.
So in other words, more than one floor? Just kidding. Just kidding.
A really small apartment.
Sort of a Donald
Really
Trump,
small
Donald,
apartments.
like a Donald Trump tower.
I think when you put the parking and the building and the stormwater management on, get many more than 5 to 10 units, I think it's gonna be tough, but.
Anyways, good.
So our recommendation is that you give direction that we sign this. I sent it to Mr. Sinclair and his lawyer. I don't have his signed copy yet, so we would be signing upon his signature, so.
Also moved. Moved by Councilor Faulkner, second Deputy Mayor Fisk, all in favor? Good. Okay, now we're gonna get to the next one, and I'm gonna turn it over to Councilor Faulkner to assume the chair. And
Thank you, Mayor.
your guy's already up here.
Mayor Bridge, and to bring these reports to council, call on Chief Harrell.
Thank you, Chairman Faulkner. The first report that I have for you is just, it's kind of information, but it's a good thing for us and to get your blessing. We want to, Minto Fire Department wants to form an honor guard. The honor guard would be a group that carries the flags, presents the colors at different events around town, and different functions around our municipality. So it's just a quick report on that, and that it would be covered under our capital funds for this year.
Just, Chief, and I just wanted to add that one of the great things for an honor guard is funerals for valued members that have volunteered for years and whatnot, and it's really an inexpensive, honorable touch to show somebody the respect that they so deserve. Thank you.
I agree, and thank you for that. And I have briefly talked to the president of the Hairston Legion and the Palmerston Legion about offering our assistance with Remembrance Day ceremonies and stuff like that too, because I know different organizations are finding it harder and harder to get people to be able to perform this function. So we're an organization that has 85 members, and we have dress uniforms already, so it's just a matter of dressing up with the braids and the flag holders and that. And the training is free. They just have to learn how to march properly, which might be the most difficult part of all. But that's kind of, it would help us and keep the morale high, and something that they're really excited to be able to offer. So it's just an information and to kind of get council's blessing to form this.
I'll make that motion.
I have a question.
Thank you. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Fisk.
Thank you, Chairman Faulkner. November the 5th, how quickly do you think this is going to happen? I guess? First question.
I was really afraid you were going to ask that. I think we could, by November, my goal is to have it ready by November 1st because of Remembrance Day ceremonies, and our people really want to get it going by then, so.
And as far as the marching goes, if you've watched the Legion March the past few years, you'll know that it isn't terribly important. But there is another event that I think you should seriously consider participating in if you get this project going, is November the 5th at Aboyne. They have the Remembrance Day celebration there. And our Legion is hoping to take a color party there, and I'm sure yours would be welcome, and I think it would be a nice start to this for your honor guard.
Yeah, absolutely. And being, like, we're going to train as many as we can, because it's not, as you said, it's not a great deal of training, but just have the stuff available that if we can find 5 out of our 85 to go, then we would, get requests and honor as many as we can. So that's definitely one. I'll get talking to you afterwards,
Sure,
and we can figure that out together.
So that's November the 5th on the Wednesday.
I'm not sure the day of the week, but that's the date.
Wednesday the 5th, yes. Aboyne.
Well, I'm going to try and
Excellent. Could I have a motion that the Minto Fire Department form an honor guard to perform at the ceremonies? I'll take Deputy Mayor Fisk, seconded by Mayor Bridge. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Declare the motion carried.
The second report I have is just a follow-up. You received a letter in your packages in, I believe it was June, May or June, from the Fire Marshal of Ontario boat, just updating you and reminding you of the vulnerable occupancy regulations that have come into effect. And this is just a report to follow up on that. I have given you a report before, letting you know they were coming. As luckily, as part of my role in the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs, we were well versed that this was coming, and I was able to be out on committees that helped steer this regulation. And so it's just a follow-up report to say that it is here. They are now in force, these new regulations, and we are out there working with our vulnerable occupancies, of which we have 5, to bring them up to make sure they're meeting the new regulations. I'm not going to go into detail of what they all are. It's in the report, but it's just a follow-up to let you know that we are on top of them, and we are working with our vulnerable occupancies to make sure they're up to the new regulations and up to standards.
Councillor Caldwell?
Just through you, Councillor Faulkner, is there any more details on hospitals, when they will be regulated as far as sprinkler systems or mandated?
The information that we got is that there is a long-term capital project fund for all healthcare hospitals in Ontario, and that the province is going to follow those. So that's why they don't fall under this regulation, because the hospital supposedly have long-term plans through the province that we didn't get any more information about, but they're going to follow their long-term funding programs, and hopefully, we're hoping sprinklers is part of those. So, that's
Deputy Mayor Fisk, go ahead.
Through you, Chairman Faulkner, we had a fire in our group home here, I don't know, earlier in the year. When they did their repairs, did they install sprinklers, or was that a recommendation that would come from your department, or?
That occupancy was actually already sprinklered, and
okay.
sprinklers were what really helped knock down that fire and contain it.
Okay, good.
So, which was a testament to why this regulations came into place, because there was a fire, sprinklers knocked it down, we were able to get in there and finish the job, I guess, and do whatever. So they were already, we've been in there a multitude of times to make sure that everything's back up and running and done checks, and now we're working with all of them to do their fire drills, and this is one of the reasons why the joint position we have with the CBO with Cam coming on board, he's been working a lot with these nursing homes, because it's not only us, but the ministry through their licensing requirements is putting a lot of pressure on them too to get everything done, because they have to have us sign off on them before they can get their licenses and all that renewed. So there's a lot of pressure coming from many directions for these facilities.
So do you anticipate funding coming from the province to help some of these large nursing homes that are, as old as at least one here in town, that I wouldn't even know how they'd begin to put a sprinkler system in there?
The retirement homes probably are not going to get any funding. The retirement homes are self-regulate, like they're owner-based. The nursing homes, one of the reasons they are 2025 before they have to be sprinkler is they do receive their funding from the province. So they will be getting funding from the province. We have had preliminary talks with our 2 nursing homes, our large nursing homes, and they are going ahead with sooner rather than later to get this done.
That's good.
So the cooperation with most of our facilities is huge, and they're working really hard to get ahead of the curve, which is good.
There's no doubt they're the most vulnerable citizens in our community.
Absolutely, and that's, as I said, I fully support the regulations when I was on the provincial committee, and I think it's a great thing to move forward, and for us to be able to be in there now, and we're in there a lot the past month, working with them to get this plans done and get everything moving is excellent. So
good. Thank you.
Any other questions on that?
Just one other very quick question, and I'm sure they do, but the hospital, I mean, this bothers me that of all places where there should be a sprinkler system, do they have mandatory fire drills, et cetera, and things like that?
yeah, they have to do some fire drills. Now, they aren't under the same regulations as the nursing homes and the retirement homes. They're a little bit separate. They're a different occupancy, which I don't have to look around, but CBO Kuipers would know exactly what occupancy they are. They're a different classification than them. And I'm trying to be politically correct, but it falls under the province to say who gets the funding, and it's a provincial agency telling a provincial agency what to do with these regulations. So it's that's why the hospitals were admitted, because the Ministry of Health wasn't prepared in their short-term funding to fund sprinklers in hospitals. So they're sticking with their long-term plans. They're not altering from their.
But you are involved in mandatory fire drills periodically with Palmerston Hospital?
We do a little bit with them, but not as much as the nursing homes. A lot of it has to do with staffing. There's a lot more staffing at a hospital than there is at a lot of our nursing homes.
Sure, yeah.
So that's one of the things that drives these regulations. If you take nighttime staffing at a nursing home or a care facility, sometimes there's 1 or 2 staff to evacuate a lot of residents. So that's where the hospitals are a little more fortunate. They have more stricter regulations on staffing, so they're a little better off that way.
Thank you.
Mayor Bridge.
And they would probably have less residents too, when you think about it, in our hospitals, and not that many people would be there overnight.
Yeah, hospitals fluctuate.
Fluctuate up and down with beds, I mean.
We're lucky enough, and we're lucky enough to have 2 very large nursing homes in our municipality that have a lot of residents, so that's why we're in there working with them, because a lot of municipalities don't have 1 facility, and we're lucky enough to have 2, so.
And I think you pointed out, Chris, both facilities are already going to go ahead and do this before they have to do it.
That's, yeah, that's the indication, and we're working with them to get that to fruition, so.
Any other questions? Could I have a motion to accept the report on vulnerable occupancies? Councillor Elliott and Councillor Hembley, all in favor? Opposed, if any? I declare the motion carried. Okay, and we will go on to the park behind the Hairston Fire Hall.
This is an information report, and kind of I get direction from council and kind of start the thinking process of parks in Hairston. For people, I've talked to a few councillors and people, and a lot of people that are residents of the town, and a couple people don't even realize that there is an official park behind the Hairston Fire Hall. Yeah, so there's a lot of issues that I've commented in the report with the park behind the fire hall. One main thing is access. The only way to access the park is through the fire hall, the back of the fire hall, or through Leslie's lot, Leslie Motors lot. And I've talked to Lisa Leslie at Leslie Motors, and they are in favor of this report, bringing it forward to say what your direction would be on what we do with that park is more or less. Do we, what I call decommission it and kind of take it out of the, as not call it a park and think of something else to do with it? How does that take the the overall park repertoire in Hairston, and what do we do with all the parks? It's kind of to start that ball rolling and the thought process with that. We, and I haven't been able to talk to all the firefighters in Hairston yet, but the park is not very well used because nobody knows that it's there. And there is a lot of issues with lighting back there, proper lighting to access it, proper lighting to be back there. And things with maintenance of it. There's some flower beds that are overgrown that haven't been touched in quite a few years. So, and the last problem that I see is spring. You know, how do we monitor it and close it, open and close it in the spring when we have the high flows of the river, and they might not be overflowing the banks, but the river flow is so fast that we don't want anybody down there. So I brought this report to you to ask you direction on kind of what the thoughts are of that park, and maybe even on the bigger picture. And I've talked to Al Carr, is, you know, how do we look at the parks in Hairston, and is there opportunities, namely in where the trailer park is being moved out, and with that pavilion and the park around the diamond in Hairston, is there an opportunity to turn that into something that we could really put some effort in that into to make that look like a top-notch park? Not that it isn't now, but do some more things to it to fix it up and make it more usable. What you see in your package, the picture that was added at the end, there is a monument back there in the park behind the fire hall that I have to do some more research on. I haven't been able to get much information on about where it actually came from and who donated it. But part of this process would be, we would be willing to move the monument, maybe even to the park down by around the ball diamonds or somewhere in there, and make it into a more visible, nicer area, because quite frankly, half the firefighters didn't even know that I've talked to, half the firefighters didn't even know there was a monument back there. And as you can see with the plants growing up around it, not many people do know that's sitting there. So this is a report for your information, but also to get some guidance on how we're going to move forward with these parks. The map that Bill was able to provide for you in my absence last week when I was on vacation kind of shows you the location of the park, the monument location, and then kind of an overview of where we were talking about down by the arena, the Ball Diamond, and some possible opportunities in that area to maybe look in future expansion or beautification.
Thank you. Comments, questions by councillors? Mayor Bridge?
I think it's twofold. I like the report, Chris, but I think maybe number one is to get the monument. I know it is dedicated to the fire department. Get that up where it's visible somewhere. And I know you've said a couple different things. I think, that's something with Parks and Rec to look at. Either at Tannery Park or someplace where there's no place in front of the fire hall, I don't think. I looked at a day just to see, but there's nothing really there. But somewhere where people can actually see it. In Tannery Park, we have the high school thing on the one side. I looked over there. Probably there's an area that you could make it very visible there. A lot of people walk through Tannery Park, so that would be something. I'd love to see, once the trailer park we're getting close, I believe, we'll have just, how many left after?
5 currently, 3 occupied.
Yeah, so, 3 occupied, and so we'll be getting close to getting something there. It'd be nice to somehow connect the trail in there somewhere down the road, but can't get there yet. So I would probably say get you guys to move the monument up and get it somewhere where people can see it, and then put this back on the Parks and Rec and Trails thing and to work out some kind of idea what to do with the park.
Yeah.
It is a scary park in the sense that it's not very visible, and I only knew about it because my grandson would actually go down and throw rocks there when his sister was in the dance recital.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. I know that park has been a subject of previous issues. My question would be, what's involved in, was it commissioned in the first place as a park? Do we know that, and what's involved in a decommission? And having said that, perhaps maybe we should, a good idea would be have staff look into the logistics of that and come up with a recommendation on where to put the monument. I like your idea of down by the pavilion and make an area in there that would be recognizable and also presentable. Any other questions?
Well, and with Bill 160, it says volunteer firemen on it, so I don't know if that changed or not.
No, we're going to leave it as
etched in
is.
stone.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's all I got.
Any other questions? Then could I have a motion to accept the report on the park and a recommendation that staff look into the logistics of moving that park? Thank you. Councillor Caldwell, Deputy Mayor Fisk. All in favor? Opposed, if any? I declare the motion carried, and I turn the chair back over to Mayor Fisk.
All right, now,
Thank you, Chief Harris.
and I'll turn it over to Councillor Caldwell.
Keep on smiling.
The Finance Committee has several items on the agenda
Way too
tonight.
many.
We will move through as quickly as we can. The first 2 items are approval of accounts from both August 11th and August 25th.
Okay, so I have 4 minutes. Anyway, so we got 2 check runs to go through. The larger one, 639,000. That time of year when we're doing debt payments, so 255,000 of that is a debt payment, principal and interest. We've got some economic development highlights designing the Harrison Industrial Park and also design work and the Palmerston Park, which if you've driven by lately you can see is well underway. Let's see, we got the actually a tourism expense. We've got the new Maglan one there in Palmerston. We're working on the 3rd line bridge, 31,000 on that. Another $35,000 in tree cutting, so these things keep on coming for sure. Sewer, we've got about $30,000 in the I&I project, and about $8,300 on the Lions Park washrooms in Palmerston, so lots of highlights in that one.
And can we do them both together?
If you like, okay. So the other one, 412, I guess the highlights are, I did the audit for about 21,000. Again, more servicing on the industrial parks, about $31,000 there, engineering, design, permits, that kind of thing. We've got a couple of dummies for the fire department at $1,500. I couldn't resist that one. We had to pay for them.
Where'd the chief go?
I see that.
You waited too long.
I know, and we're paying for them.
Okay, now my suggestion is, let's not pay this bill for the month, and we can build a bridge then with that money.
All right, a very small bridge, yeah. And see large on Steed and Evans, another $91,000 to finish off the north end of Aurora Street, and another $37,000 in I&I. And we've got some bleachers at the Palmerston Arena, about $3,400, and the pool slide in the Palmerston Pool for $3,900. I know that's been an ongoing project. Yeah, I guess you tried it out. Anyway.
Kind of blew the water out.
So those are the two approvals of accounts.
I think it's a maximum 250 pounds, they slightly under that.
You're good.
Is there any questions of Treasurer Duff on either of the reports? Yes. Okay.
Minto and Bloom, I see a stroke. Does that mean, are we still involved with them somewhat? We were just sort
Well,
of,
Minto's in bloom is basically watering the plants now.
Oh, okay.
That's where, so we still call it
We
that.
still got, we have to,
Well, we have, like to stay in, it's only
Yeah,
like
we-
$250
Okay,
or
we're
so
still
for
part
the
of
year.
that, yeah.
So Minto and Bloom, when you see it now, that's basically the wages,
the
or
girls
we're
out with
buying
the carts.
fertilizer and plants and
weeding the flower beds and such.
Yeah,
Yep,
that
okay,
kind of thing.
thanks.
Gas
Are there
for
any
truck.
other questions? Yes.
Through you, Chairman Colwell, you mentioned $35,000 for cutting trees.
Yes.
So would that be related to the storm, or? is that-
Yes, it's Wyatt Ross, the contractor. So yes, that would still be part of the ice storm, if you like, yeah.
And have we received any official word? I hear
No.
every couple of days another community has heard that they're going to
Yeah.
get funding, and we haven't heard anything
We
to that effect.
received something, I'm thinking about 6 weeks ago now, that we had moved on to the next stage, and they were gonna send us a detailed application form. I haven't got it, Phil hasn't got it, Public Works hasn't, so that's where we sit right now. We're waiting for the actual form to submit the next
And-
claim, so.
In Mayor Bridge?
We did ask at AMO when we were at the delegations, and they kind of indicated we're into the second round, so it sounded kind of
It
positive.
sounded positive,
But
but.
again, we have to wait for that final form, and maybe the other ones are a little ahead of us on that, or, I don't know.
She goes. Anyway,
We'll follow up, but hopefully we'll get some of that money back.
that's right.
I was just gonna ask, is it in a situation where we need to contact somebody and say, we're expecting those forms, should we have them already?
We can contact Municipal Affairs again.
May I get the impression that some people are reading the letter that they're moved to the next round as meaning they're getting funding. I don't think they're any further along. I think we're all in the same boat.
Yeah,
I agree. I don't think it's anything
Oh, I kinda
guaranteed,
heard
and we
that.
don't know the amounts
That makes
either.
sense.
Like, we went through the whole process in the spring there, and I know there were figures in the paper, but nothing official.
But if that's not the case, we'll definitely.
Yeah.
But I think that was what I was getting when I was down there. I think Guelph and Moss and a couple of them got into the second round. They said they're still in it. So I think that's more or less what's
How you
coming.
interpret it.
It's not necessarily money coming out yet, but they're moving ahead. And some have been kicked out, so they know they're not getting it, right?
And remember, the province is a March year end, so it's still early for them.
Are there any additional questions? Okay, the recommendation is the Council of the Town of Minto receives the Treasurer's report dated August 11th and August 25th, 2014 regarding approval of accounts and approves the town of Minto accounts by department for August 2014. May I have someone make that motion? Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Hemley. All in favor? Okay, the next item on the agenda is the tax collector, section 357 application.
Okay, and so the 357s are primarily if you've torn down a house, torn down a barn, and they're more internal. The amount of lost taxes for Minto is about $2,800, and there's only about 5 properties on that one.
And are there any questions? Okay. Recommendation is that council of the town of Minto receives the August 2014 report from the treasurer and tax collector regarding section 357 applications, and that these applications be approved. Moved by Councillor Turton, seconded by Mayor Bridge. All in favor? And that is passed. And the next item is our quarterly financial review. One of the items was not included in your package. It was given to you on your desk, which is the operating.
Yes,
Figures.
right here.
There you go. So this is up until the end of June, and I guess in a summary, it's the harsh winter again, but the effects are gradually being evened out because we have 6 months of the year. Our revenues have actually going quite well. Last time I was up here, I referred to the milestone amounts, and that's worked out really where the province is flowing the funds for a lot of payments beforehand. We've got a half our OMPF, and the insurance I've got right now is just a block 244,000 in admin, and then we'll be allocating that to the various departments. And I recorded the reserve transfer, so that tends to inflate them. Fire, not too many payments made to date, but the routine items. Again, public works, the winter control, like we were still plowing in April and doing that, so. We got the ice storm assistance, hopefully something coming, but nothing yet. More internal machine time. Water and sewer basically going per schedule. And recreation is running quite well too. And economic development, primary costs through debt servicing. Capital budget, many things are underway. A lot of design work, as you can see, design and engineering. So those are kind of the highlights. And
Are there any
questions or?
Yes.
Through you, Chairman Caldwell, you make the note here under administration. Legal services have greatly exceeded initial forecasts. Any particular reason for that?
We've had to consult our lawyer in a lot of different aspects this term, a little bit more than what we thought, primarily property and tax related issues. So yes, our legal costs are definitely up, and some of them may be recoverable, some of them not, I'm afraid, but yeah.
And then under economic development, you mentioned the debt servicing.
Yes.
That's not just economic development debt servicing, is it? That's the debt servicing for the town?
No, I'm pretty much saying like economic development, and that's like for industrial park servicing,
Okay.
our land acquisition, so anything that's related to that. That, I think, is by far like the #1 cost in that department, the way it is in water now. Again, some things happened earlier this council meeting, they're certainly gonna help with that. Yeah, that's a big cost, for sure.
Thank you.
Just an overall comment.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the report, Treasurer Duff. It looks like for the most part, we are running along on budget.
Pretty much. I think it's a challenging year, as we know, and a lot will depend on how the early winter of 2014-15 works out.
And I guess that's my question. If by chance the early winter of 2014 is bad, what are the net results of that as far as our budget is
Actually,
concerned?
we were chatting with Mike this morning about that. If you recall, our surface treatments, we've got about $100,000 to play with there. So if we underspend there, I'm hoping it'll kind of offset that. It's kind of a bit of a hope anyway. That's one of the few controllable things you have. The tree cutting, some of it's controllable, some it's not. Like if you drive around, I notice we're doing a lot of cutting, but it's more proactive.
So
Or
maybe
some
that'll help
safety
next
issues.
weekend, yeah, or next winter, yeah. But that's one of the issues.
Yeah, just a couple on that. I think on the, I asked that question too about the expenses on the lawyers, and a lot of it is we've had a lot of sales and other things, which
True.
hopefully, as you said, some of that might come back
Mhm.
in kind of what we get off our profit.
That's
do that.
right.
But really, it really comes down to it. I hate to see us rob roads again.
Yeah.
Just, you know, because we're in a situation where basically one of the reasons why we're not in too bad a shape, we didn't spend 200,000 on roads last year because we
Mhm.
knew that the
This
winter
would be
was so
2
bad, we had
years.
2 ice storms. So I'm really, really hoping we'll push hard to the government, and I'm getting a feeling, I'm kind of confident that they're gonna come up with
Get
something.
something.
But if they do that, then, Chair Caldwell, I think then we can actually continue to do the roads things that we need to do, because we know we need to get some of that road surfacing done. But hopefully that'll offset some of our costs and get
Yeah.
us through the winter.
And we know the old statistics, spend a dime now or a
Yeah.
dollar later, but.
Yeah, so, but, you know, it is what it is. I mean, unfortunately, it wasn't from lack of planning.
Mm-mm.
That nature is something that we can't control, and nature's really hurt us this year.
Sure
Well,
has.
through you, Chair Caldwell, maybe we get Bill to phone Al Gore and explain the global warming effect. Can we do that, Bill?
Is there any other questions?
We try.
Okay, then the recommendation is that the town of Minto Council receive the quarterly financial review report from the treasurer for information only. From Councillor Faulkner, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fisk, all in favor? And the motion is passed. And the next item on the agenda is the tile drainage loan.
Yes, and I have lots of support for these questions.
They're right behind you there.
I
They'll
see,
answer
don't
any
normally have
question.
that. This is a new tile drain loan, for a property owner, and the amount is $30,000, and, there'll be a bylaw subsequent to prove that. And again, we're the agent and all that.
Yes, Councillor Faulkner?
Just the criteria that's set out on this, it's all been met, I'm assuming, and
I assume, yeah, we've got, Mike, good? They're all good?
Yes, on their bridge?
just we don't get that criteria, that's all.
Well, you may speak to that if you like. Simon.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Up to 50,000.
No, I'm aware of that criteria.
Yeah, but Mike's got to check it out and.
Okay, thank you.
put it on Greg.
Yes, Mary Grace.
Just on the financial implications, and I don't remember seeing this before, maybe I did see it before, but it says the loan becomes contingent liabilities for the town of
True.
Minto, which will become an actual liability upon default of the loan.
That's right. So on our financial statements, we call it a contingent liability.
But,
And not being one of the young ones, I've been auditing or doing this for
yeah,
closing on 30 years. I've never seen a default.
no,
in
and if
Minto.
it did default, it could be put on taxes.
Well, it already is.
It's already in the taxes, so, I mean, it's kind of, the sentence kind of makes you think, oh, boy, that's
Yeah.
trouble. But
Like-
in the end of the day, being an
Yeah.
ex-banker, you know, we get all kinds of.
It's a bit like uncollectible taxes where we
bankers.
pay the county and the school board.
Okay, just wanted to have that out there.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Deputy Mayor Fisk.
Just, the offer to sell to the Minister of Finance, we've never seen that before, have we? I don't recall seeing that form presented
this
to
is,
us. I'm assuming that happens with every tile loan
Yeah.
that we do,
Yeah.
but have we seen this before, or is this?
Yeah, I think it's fairly
Yeah.
standard. Like the forms are all prescribed forms and I usually have to sign them and get all from there.
I tend to agree. I don't think it's been in our package.
I don't.
Maybe not,
No,
yeah.
I've never
I
seen
want
this.
them to finish here.
So that's the form that you fill out, but we've never seen it as a council.
Possibly,
meeting.
yeah. I usually have to sign it.
Standard.
Mm.
And then the final item on the financial agenda is section 354, write-off of taxes.
Okay, so this is
This is where we
Oh.
want.
Oh,
I would,
Okay.
I didn't have a motion on that last
Yes.
one.
Oh, I'm
We
sorry.
didn't
I
have a motion
apologize for that.
on the last one, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I was waiting for the motion.
and I've lost my motion sheet.
You want me to read it?
You lost your
I got it.
emotions. It's okay, you get them back.
Recommendation that the council of the town of Minto receives the treasurer's August 27, 2014 report regarding tile drainage and considered tile drainage rating bylaw, 2014-60 during open session. May I have someone move that, please?
I would so move.
Councillor Elliott, and seconded by Councillor Hamley. All in favor? And
I would
thank
like to
you,
excuse
Councillor
myself.
Elliott.
All right.
Declaring a conflict of interest. And then I will ask that we discuss section 354, write-off of taxes.
Okay. You probably haven't seen this before either because of that. As you may recall, in June, we had a tax sale. It was not a successful tax sale. We received no bidders. So council has directed staff to proceed with an additional sale. And the minimum amount, which we have some flexibility this time, the previous one we didn't, would be set at $150,000. So basically, we're recommending writing off all the balances on that property down to $150,000. If we do that today, then we have our 4 to 5 week advertising period, and we're proposing a sale date of October 16th at 3 p.m.
And I just asked Treasurer Duff to explain that the amount that we're asking to be written off is not all for the town of Minto.
No,
It
this,
includes-
we get to charge back the upper tier and the school boards, so we'll be able to do that. And on a subsequent sale, the legal opinion is it is not to be shared again with those other parties, so. And if you recall, during the course of the audit, we already wrote off $55,000 last year, so. Anyway.
So is there any questions or comments on it before we read the recommendation? That the council of the town of Minto receives the treasurer's August 26, 2014 report and write off taxes in the amount of $78,881.47 for the property roll number 2341000 011 17600 0000. May I have someone make that motion, please? Mayor Bridge, seconded by Councillor Hamley. All in favor? And the motion is passed. And
Okay.
could someone ask,
Slightly more than
Councillor
4
Elliott to
minutes,
please
but
join us?
anyway.
Oh, yeah, Public Works one, yes. I'll turn that over to you. We have one other item for Public Works, and I'll turn over the Chair of Public Works, Dave Turton.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. We got our road foreman, Mike McIsaac, here this afternoon, I should say, this evening. And we want to talk today about one item that wasn't on the agenda, but we felt the need to put it on. So Mike, can you share it with us, please?
Oh, that's the milling.
Mayor Bridge and Council. At the last council meeting, council approved the hiring of the Miller Group Limited for the surface treatment of various roads in the town of Minto for asphalt. Just doing some investigative work after that, looking at options to do with the actual old asphalt material. Originally, we were going to take it to take it up with our own equipment, backhoe, and take it to the Murray Group. If we could get them to mill it for us, and then we could use that recycled material on various projects within the 3 towns, like the cemetery roads. What else do I have?
Lagoon Road.
The Lagoon Road.
Trailer Park Road.
And the Ball Diamonds in Palmerston, if the rec department would like us to do that. The new baseball diamond and pavilion up in Clifford. These are areas where we've had dust complaints in the past, and this would work for that project. In having the Murray Group do this project for us, it's $2.95 per meter squared to remove the asphalt to the complete depth for a total price of $27,606. This service would be funded from the hardtop resurfacing operating account, which Cord mentioned earlier. And even with taking this out of that account, we would still be left with $97,888 for any overages in the winter maintenance.
Questions? Deputy Mayor Fisk.
Through you, Chairman Turton, so the material is going to be milled?
Yep.
And then are we, or is the Public Works Department going to lay it or put it on these various sites, or is that going to be done by Murray Group as well?
No, that would be done by our manpower. The price that we just got from them is just to have it milled and taken to a location in each of the towns, which is central to all these other various projects.
And our staff will be able to get all this
Yep.
done before snowfall, or is that the plan, or
Does
does it matter?
It doesn't really matter. We are gonna try to get as many of these projects cleaned up for the season, so we don't have an extra workload in the spring. But it is something that could wait until the spring if it doesn't get completed.
Okay, thanks.
So we're gonna stockpile
Yeah.
a bit. Any other questions? Hearing none, the council, the recommendation then is the council receives this public works report from the roads foreman dated September 2nd, 2014 regarding milling various roads, Palmerston, Harrison, Clifford, and approves the hiring of the Murray Group at the quoted price of $2.95 per square meter, excluding HST. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Faulkner. Councillor Elliott. All in favor of the motion? Against? That's carried. Can I ask one other quick thing?
Yeah, sure.
Can we have a report on the fourth concession?
No,
Please.
it's not paved yet, I would go by.
We're not paving.
Approximately 2 weeks ago, when I originally contacted Duncor, they had said they were moving in today. Talking to them on Friday, they've been pushed off until next Monday. The closing on that project was September the 15th, so they do have a little bit of room. I'd like to see it get done as well.
The last Friday or Thursday, whichever day it was, we had quite a discussion with our friend David Lyons. He's the guy that's been grading that road, and that's a good thing. So, yeah.
Just, I guess it's a public works issue, and now's probably a good time with Mike being
Okay.
here, is the 16th Bridge project
Yes,
finally got started last Tuesday,
yes.
and we're going to be able to get out of the water in time and finish the project in a timely fashion?
Yes, actually, I believe all in-water works is, they're anticipating completion of that by Friday, I believe.
This coming Friday?
This coming Friday, or the first of next week. So they've actually progressed pretty well over the last week here. All the sheet piling's in, and they're working on the excavation of the old box culvert and everything right now. Yep.
Thanks.
Good, Mike. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Pass the chair back to our mayor.
All right, I think now we're just at,
Mayor Bridge, if I may, we have the housekeeping zoning bylaw amendment, and then we have the two engineers here for the quarter revision. I don't see our North Perth member.
which one's first though, ours?
So first one is housekeeping,
Okay.
then the second one, the council would recess and quarter revision would sit. And that's, drain 37 is the one entirely in